Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to another video on the Paraclete. This is an updated version of a video I did before on the Paraclete, this time with some more information. The video is called "The Paraclete Would Convict the World Regarding the Righteousness of Christ." It's done by me, Proving Islam, in association with NYK, a Muslim organization, and the content for this video is taken from an upcoming document they will release, inshallah, called Easy Paraclete. So today we're dealing with John 16 verse 10. Here's verses 8 through 10 quoted. Jesus describing the Paraclete says, "And when he comes, he will convict the world concerning sin and righteousness and judgment. Concerning sin, because they do not believe in me. Concerning righteousness, because I go to the Father, and you will see me no longer." Now, most commentaries here will say that righteousness is specifically the righteousness of Christ. So the Paraclete would convict the world regarding the righteousness of Christ. So, for example, here's a commentary. It says, "This is the righteousness of Christ, not that of the world." Another commentary, by which all interpreters agree is meant the righteousness of Christ. And this makes sense because the world being unrighteous is linked with Jesus not being amongst them. Hence, it is Christ's righteousness that they are being convicted of, right? And also, it says concerning righteousness, because I go to the Father, and you will see me no longer. So it's about Jesus, right? So it makes sense that the righteousness here is Jesus' righteousness because it's connected to Jesus leaving. Here are some more commentaries which say it. I'll just show them on the screen, and for the sake of time, I will read them out. But I just want to show you that this is found in many Christian commentaries. Now, remember, the Paraclete is convicting the world regarding this. And just a recap of a previous video, we discussed that the word for convict, as Raymond Brown points out, it is a question of bringing the merciless light of truth to bear on guilt. The word convict there means to expose with a fiery nature, and we discussed this in a previous video in detail. Clark's commentary on "He will reprove" says, "He will demonstrate these matters so clearly as to leave no doubt on the minds of those who are simple of heart, and so fully as to confound and shut the mouth of those who are gainsayers." So, in summary here, the Paraclete is supposed to expose the world regarding their false stance on the righteousness of Christ, which they fell into error of due to Christ ascending, right? If we go back to the text, the Paraclete exposes the world regarding the righteousness of Christ because Christ is leaving. So the world has some wrong understanding of how Christ is righteous, or what his righteousness is. And how did they fall into error of this? They fell into error regarding Christ's righteousness because he ascended. He went to the Father and they didn't see him any longer. That's why they fell into error regarding Christ's righteousness. So how does this prove, of course, the Muslim case that the Prophet Muhammad is the Paraclete? Well, it actually matches perfectly with the revelation in the Quran. Allah says, and this, remember, is revelation being sent down to the Prophet Muhammad. وَإِذْ قَالَ اللَّهُ يَا عِيسَى ابْنَ مَرْيَمَ أَأَنْتَ قُلْتَ لِلنَّاسِ اتَّخِذُونِي وَأُمِّيَ إِلَٰهَيْنِ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ قَالَ سُبْحَانَكَ مَا يَكُونُ لِي أَنْ أَقُولَ مَا لَيْسَ لِي بِحَقٍّ إِن كُنتُ قُلْتُهُ فَقَدْ عَلِمْتَهُ تَعْلَمُ مَا فِي نَفْسِي وَلَا أَعْلَمُ مَا فِي نَفْسِكَ إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ عَلَّامُ الْغُيُوبِ. And when Allah will say, "O Jesus, son of Mary, did you say to the people, take me and my mother as two deities besides Allah, two gods to be worshipped besides Allah?" He will say, "Exalted are you, perfect are you. It was not for me to say that to which I have no right. If I had said it, you would have known it. You know what is within myself, and I do not know what is within yourself. Indeed, it is you who is the knower of the unseen."
ما قلت لهم إلا ما أمرتني به أن اعبدوا الله ربي وربكم وكنت عليهم شهيدا ما دمت فيهم فلما توفيتني كنت أنت الرقيب عليهم وأنت على كل شيء شهيد.
I said not to them except what you commanded me, to worship Allah my Lord and your Lord, and I was a witness over them as long as I was among them. But when you took me up, you were the observer over them, and you are over all things witness. So what's happening in these ayat, these signs in the Quran, this revelation, is that it is being exposed to the Christians that Jesus never claimed to be someone who wanted the worship of the people. His righteousness is being clarified. See, if you say Jesus asked for worship, he put himself to be a god, then that means Jesus is a huge sinner who would go to hell. This is clear from the Old Testament as well. Even in the New Testament, you have verses where Jesus clarifies that only the Father is God. So if a man claims to be God, then that person, according to the Old Testament, goes into the hellfire, right? And even just normally, we know that a man is not God. So by saying that Jesus claimed to be God, you're questioning his righteousness, right? Now he's put out to be a huge sinner. And it is being clarified then in these ayat that no, these Christians, they're wrong about Christ. Actually, he was righteous. He never commanded to be worshipped. Rather, he only commanded that God be worshipped. Now that shows that according to the Quran, Jesus was righteous, right? And why did the Christians fall into error? Why did they fall into error? Because, as Jesus mentions in the Quran here, he ascended. I was a witness over them as long as I was among them, but when you took me up, you were the observer over them, and you were over all things a witness. Note how in John 16, verse 10, Jesus says concerning righteousness, because I go to the Father and you will see me no longer. You will see me no longer. And in the Quran, Jesus says, and I was a witness over them as long as I was among them, but when you took me up, you were the watcher over them. So, Christ's righteousness is clarified. Right? It's made clear that Christ was righteous. He was not an evil person who claimed to be God. And it's clarified that the people fell into this misunderstanding of Christ because he ascended. And that's the video.